I love it. I graduated high school with a 1.8 GPA. I was known as the kid who did not even bring a backpack to school. And on top of all that, also known as being in school for 2 to 3 times a week, I'm in school suspension. Not the most glorious start. However, I decided I do not like the school system, and as a result, I'm going to get my real estate license. And that's exactly what I did. When I was 18 years old, I got my real estate agent license. And if you ever got your real estate agent license, you're going to feel two most emotions. Number one, you're going to feel like the most successful, most best, absolute real estate guru in the absolute world. And two, you're gonna feel like you don't know absolutely anything and you're clueless. The reason being is because when you join that brokerage, you quickly realize that you don't know how to generate leads, you don't know how to do a contract, you don't know how to do a real estate transaction from start to finish, you don't know any of that. And I quickly realized that on my first day, and I scrambled around to try to figure these things out. The lowest hanging fruit was called sphere of influence. You go to people that you already know and you tell them that you're an agent and you try to get their business. Obviously, an 18-year-old doesn't have a sphere of influence of friends. All of my friends were getting fucked up out of their mind at college right now. However, I did know my friends' parents, and me getting my real estate agent license actually made them forget about the degen that I was. The 1.8 GPA in school suspension, all that yada, yada, yada. I got my real estate agent license. I took a cool, sick-ass headshot with a suit and tie, and hey, I'm somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about now. So, God bless, I used that to my advantage, and as a result, I actually ended up getting my first client, which was an investor client. And I made this guy $100,000 in 2 months. Now, I myself, after broker splits and whatnot, I ended up taking home 10 grand in that span of 2 months from finding him the deal and selling the deal. However, I could not get out of my mind that this guy just made 100 grand in 2 months. I mean, in order to sell the deal, and this is important because it's gonna tie back into later, in order to sell the deal as a real estate agent, I went out to the property, I took professional photos, put a sign, put a lockbox. This is when I was young, right? I don't recommend this. This is like pure use. I decided to do an open house every single day that the property was live on the market and pass out 500 flyers around the entire neighborhood. And this is when it was hot out, like how it is right now, right? And I decided to pass it all out. And as a result, I ended up selling the deal. We actually priced the property 30 grand above what it was worth. I got 10 grand above in what we were asking, and I closed the deal. Now, I ended up finishing that year doing $3 million in volume. Wow, bro, I'm telling you right now, if you ever hear a real estate agent talk about their volume, they're broke, okay? Because $3 million in real estate agent volume was like 40,000 bucks in commission. And I was not happy, right? Maybe I would have been if I didn't see this motherfucker make 100 grand in 2 months. But I seen it, right? And I couldn't get that out of my head. As a result, I joined a fixing and flipping mastermind. When I joined this mastermind, I seen wholesalers come up on stage, and they were talking about assigning deals to investors, making 20, 30 grand rips. And I remember thinking to myself, they're doing all this in 30 days. They don't have to do all the stuff that I do. What the hell is this? So I pivoted. I didn't get into fix and flipping. I stopped being a real estate agent and I jumped onto the wholesale board. And as a result, my first deal, I dialed 3,000 people. This is before I knew what a dialer was, all right? I literally typed in phone numbers in my phone and I called through 3,000 people, and in 3 weeks, I locked up my first deal. Boom, proof of concept, life is good. I was then blessed with my business partner. Now, he was bringing in these deals nationwide. I'm talking about Kentucky, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, West Virginia. Honestly, I didn't even know West Virginia was a fucking thing. I thought that was just like on the maps that we learned like in history, right? I'm like, oh, this is a real state that exists. People live here. And our first deal was on the borderline of West Virginia and North Carolina. Shit, it went out. Hold on. Boom, we're back in business. All right, it was on the borderline though, and I remember my partner and I thinking, how the fuck are we gonna sell this deal? Like, are we gonna fly out to this property? And that's when we learned about something called a novation. Now, this is a masterclass for you guys, all right? Wholesaling, you're locking up the property with the homeowner, you're giving them a cash offer. You're then selling that contract to a cash buyer. Whatever the difference is, boom, your profit. Novation, you're locking up the property with the homeowner. However, you're pitching them on a cash offer and an offer called the concierge service, which is the same results as a cash offer. You're just going to be taking a little bit longer and using agents and marketing the deal out to retail buyers. That's what we learned. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't see this online anywhere. And even if I do, people are saying it's hard. And all the other wholesalers I'm talking to at these events are like, novation? Yeah, I kind of heard of it, but very hard to do, very hard to get past the paperwork, all that. And I remember thinking, it's not hard, it's a fucking listing. I mean, I do this shit as a real estate agent myself. It's the exact same thing. So I remember thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. Fuck what everybody else is saying. I'm gonna take a risk and I'm gonna do what's called a novation. I remember calling an agent and pitching her on the novation, letting her know, look, it's a free listing, just take it, right? I didn't like to say it like that, but you get the point, right? And she ended up taking the listing. Now it was different. She was going out to the property, getting photos, putting a sign, putting a lot box, managing the showings, open houses. She was doing all of that. And I was managing the transaction. She brought a buyer. We made, in 3 weeks, funny that I talk about it, but yeah, in 3 weeks, we made $13,000. And I remember thinking to myself, I didn't even leave my fucking bedroom. I'm at home with my mom, right? And I just made 13 grand in 3 weeks and never even went out to this property. This was a game changer for me, right? Phone, laptop, thin air, printer, awesome. And I remember thinking, all right, we're going all in on this. Within 6 months, my partner and I did $250,000 in gross assignment revenue. And it was different because it wasn't real estate volume. Volume where it's like you sell one house for $250,000 and now you have $250,000 in volume. It's like, no, $250,000 in checks to our bank accounts. It was insane. And we weren't even leaving our homes, our bedrooms. We were literally doing this from the comfort of our homes. And I remember vividly thinking to myself that this is it. Like, I'm not going back from here. And the sirens are here. I love Chicago sirens, right? Well, at least you know that this isn't a green screen, right? This is real life. Alhamdulillah, this is my life. Let me wait for it to go and then I'll resume. And literally to top it all off, that same year that we did $250,000 in gross assignment revenue, I took home personally $43,000. Last year, I did $40,000 in an entire year from commissions. In 1 month, I made $43,000 take home in assignment fees, and I did not leave my bedroom. It was insane. And as a result of that, of course, I had the confidence that came with it, and I decided to move out to the city. My business partner dropped out of college, moved out here, and we scaled the company. We were in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, not this apartment that we're in now, but a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, scaling our company up to what it is known today, where we do 7 figures in gross assignment revenue. We have a full team of cold calling company. We have ads and cool branded pages and Google running around, lead managers, sales reps, selling our deals, locking them up, all that cool stuff, and great relationships built. And as I was thinking about it, I actually got inspired to make this video because maybe there's some of you who are in my shoes. You're a real estate agent and you're getting caught up in that trap. You're getting fucked by your brokerage. They're taking all your money. And even if you do sign up with a brokerage that gives you leads, they're taking more of your money. And on top of that, you're not really becoming a real estate investor. Now, maybe you want to be a real estate agent, and by all means. But if you want to get into real estate, owning a portfolio of properties, understanding how numbers work and investments work, and really making the big bucks, then wholesale real estate, that's the way to go. You're owning your own company. Hopefully this video resonated with those of you who feel the same way. Now, this is my first YouTube video, but I have a whole bunch more. So please get used to this handsome, charismatic self of mine, because this is the first of many YouTube videos. Until then, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment with your feedback, whether you hate it or love it. Still appreciate it because you're showing love. Until then, take care, folks.